was involved in drafting the letter that would later be sent by then FBI Director James Comey to members of Congress on October 28, 2016. That letter stated that the agency had received new information about Hillary Clinton's emails and was reopening an investigation it had closed in July of 2016 after finding no criminal wrongdoing. CNN adds that Strzok sent a text message expressing reservations about Comey making a public announcement just days before the election, and those messages, which were provided to Congress, show Strzok grappling with the fallout of making the letter public. Strzok reportedly supported reopening the Clinton investigation once the new information was discovered. Republicans accused Strzok of being sympathetic to Clinton while seeking to undermine Donald Trump during the 2016 campaign season. But this, Joe, of course, reveals new insight into exactly what Strzok felt about anything and whether it really matters at this point.
Well, you know, Mika, it's not even a fair fight. No. You have the Republicans constantly coming at all of us, coming at anybody who dares to try to hold this president accountable. Conspiracy theories, outright lies, loyalty oaths. We saw, again, another loyalty oath, this time to Rod Rosenstein, the very man in charge of the investigation of the president. Again, what we talked about yesterday, again, happening here, but in a highly unethical, personal way where Republicans and Trumpists, Trump loyalists, are actually investigating the investigators. Here, you have an autocratic move where you have a president who is under investigation demanding loyalty of the man in charge of the investigation. That's not America. That's Turkey. That happens, you know, in Turkey. That happens in Russia. That happens in China. That does not happen here. But that's what the president did. He did the same thing basically with McCabe. McCabe didn't give him the answer he wanted, so he fired him. And of course, we remember he did the same thing with Jim Comey over that candlelight dinner, that memorable candlelight dinner in the White House, demanded a loyalty oath. James Comey did not give him the loyalty oath because he was running the investigation, and the president fired him as well. The other one, though, is fascinating. Peter Strzok, who has been put at the center of this deep state conspiracy theory by Trump sycophants and also mouth breathers on TV, who are also Trump sycophants. But these mouth breathers come up with and Devin Nunes comes up with a different conspiracy theory, it seems, every time Donald Trump gets in big trouble. Remember last year, Trump lied about Barack Obama crawling around in fatigues and bugging, wiretapping Trump Tower phones or something bizarre like that. That's as truthful as what he claimed on Twitter. So the entire federal government did all they could do to try to prove that happened. Nobody could prove it. Everybody said it was a lie. The FBI said it was a lie. Every agency said it was a lie. And so Devin Nunes lies to the cameras, goes down to the White House, comes up, and he puts that conspiracy theory out there about masking. Ends up being a lie. Here we had then a week ago Ron Johnson sounding like McCarthy, talking about a secret society and corruption at the highest levels of the FBI. It ended up being a lie. Mm-hmm. And so Peter Strzok now is at the center of this deep state conspiracy to take down Donald Trump. And yet we learned yesterday that Peter Strzok supported reopening the investigation into Hillary Clinton's email and helped draft that crucial Comey letter to Congress that ended Hillary Clinton's campaign. Willie, historians will look back, and they will say it wasn't Russia that elected Donald Trump, and it wasn't, this, it wasn't that. It was that Comey letter that did more to defeat Hillary Clinton than anything else. And Peter Strzok, who's supposedly in the middle of this great Harry Potter-like secret society, deep state conspiracy, he supported that and helped draft the letter that effectively ended Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign.
Yeah. First of all, Joe, when you criticize mouth breathers on TV, I take personal offense.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
An attack on one is an attack on all of us mouth breathers on TV. But what you have right now is Peter Strzok as basically a microcosm of the attacks on the FBI, which is that they were now suddenly twisted from, remember in 2016 during the end of the campaign, they were the reason that Hillary Clinton was prevented from being president, according to the attacks on the FBI. Now that's been totally flipped to that they're an organization like Peter Strzok that has been attacking Donald Trump. It doesn't. You can't have it both ways. And Bob Costa, you've also got now out in the open, according to FBI statement, that this release of the memo is a glaring omission, they say. They have grave concerns. Christopher Wray is worried about it. They say the Nunes memo actually might hurt the country. It might hurt the investigation here.
We saw in the 2016 campaign this institutional whiplash in the political battle in this country. At first, the right thought that when then Attorney General Loretta Lynch met on the tarmac with former President Bill Clinton that the FBI was corrupt, the Justice Department was corrupt. Then the left revolts when the election happens and President Trump wins, and they blame Director Comey. And then now you have this war against the leadership from the right. This is nonstop political battle in this country. And I think you see even Trump allies now wondering. I was speaking to Rudy Giuliani, the former New York mayor, last night, and he said you have to be careful at this kind of moment because people inside of the Department of Justice and the FBI are very nervous about having some kind of huge public war with this administration. And other Trump allies tell me you could even see some resignations at the DOJ or the FBI in the coming days if this memo is released because people think their credibility is on the line. They put a statement out there.
Yeah.
You think even Christopher Wray, Bob Costa, is he someone who could step aside because he put his name on this FBI statement yesterday?
Inside of the administration, there's a lot of speculation about that because why else would you put out a statement? You're putting yourself out there and saying, as the head of the FBI, his name's not specifically on it, but of course it comes from Wray. He's the director of the FBI. Right. And now if the administration moves against him and the president does not respect his own FBI's wishes, it puts him in a pretty tough position bureaucratically and politically.
So, Joe, just sort of moving ahead, and then we'll move back, but how can we not confront the reality here that so far Republicans in Congress have been so compliant and so forgiving to things no other president could ever make happen, that we should confront the fact that President Trump would fire Bob Mueller. And what will Republicans do then? Will that be okay with them as well?
Well, unfortunately, we can't trust Paul Ryan, and now it grieves me to say it, but General Kelly, a man who has dedicated so much of his life to this country and has given so much to this country, we can't trust either one of these men to do the right thing. I find it hard to believe that at the beginning of February of 2018, that I just said those words.
Yeah, but Joe,
you have Paul Ryan. What?
What do we know about Trump at this point that makes us believe that he wouldn't fire Bob Mueller? What is one piece of evidence that he would not go forward with this?
There's no evidence, Mika. There's no evidence that if he could fire Bob Mueller today, he would fire Bob Mueller today. As I have said before, the founders of this country, the drafters of our Constitution, anticipated a president who would be so taken by power that he would become an autocrat and he would seek tyrannical powers. That is taken care of in our Constitution. But Mike Barnacle, they never, ever allowed their imaginations to be darkened by the belief that when America's Constitution was challenged, when the rule of law was challenged, when constitutional norms were challenged, that grave challenge to our republic would be met by compliant members of Congress. I must say, and yes, we have to add, a chief of staff who served honorably, General Kelly, who now are both ignoring the FBI director and the Deputy Attorney General's warning, the Justice Department's warning, their own Justice Department's warnings. Republicans, one and all, warning them, do not release this memo. It is not in America's best interest. It is not good